Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Hey, welcome to this episode of Money Mondays. Hope you're doing well, and thanks for listening to the Note Closure Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here with you today. Hope you all had a great weekend. It is Monday. Or if you're listening to this, it's Tuesday. But absolutely had a great week last week. Just absolutely, it was hot last week of summer in Austin, Texas, and it was a hot one. And it was kind of funny. Kind of had a hot deal fall in my lap that we're working through. And I thought I'd go through that with you today because I think you guys really do love it when we break down the case studies of individual deals that we're bidding on or working through. And this is one of those deals that I love it when I see something in Austin, Texas that I actually can sink my teeth into. Oftentimes, Austin being obviously the capital, the fastest foreclosure state in America, can often be overpriced. They often can be too damn expensive or way overpriced that just don't make sense. Or there's just way so much equity that the seller wants way too much for it that it just doesn't make any sense for us to buy it and only make you know, a single digit return, low single digits in a lot of cases. But this episode is about this new deal that came in across Friday. I actually was close enough that I could drive to it. And I thought I'd go through the deal with you, break it down, the pros, the cons, expected ROIs, returns, that kind of stuff. And I think it's a great way to learn. And this doesn't necessarily need to be in Austin, Texas. A lot of you guys out there listening and gals can take this deal and kind of apply it to where you live, depending on your situation. Okay. And so it was just, here's a picture of the property. This is actually the Cinemax version of the property. Obviously, it's had some work done to it, which is great, but it's a good looking property. When I Googled the address, I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. Now, it's got a flat roof, pretty much a slight, it doesn't have as angled a roof as that. You'll see that it's just how the photo is taking a bit of an angle to get in the office or the outside building that's attached to it. But anyway, this is a property kind of down in South Austin, north of the airport a little bit, but in a hot and up and coming area of Austin. And this is the image from February of this year. And you can kind of see what it is, a little bit more accurate Google image. Pretty good little size lot. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath with an extra building. I cut off the address a little bit there so you guys could not see it and go chase this thing down. But it's on a pretty good sized lot with trees. That's the February image. We go to that was February, and this is from March of this year. Okay, a little bit different image with these posts for a fence up, the fire pit built into the right side. All right, so a little bit different there. And these are the actual images that I took of the property. Now, it was occupied. I didn't want to stop, get out, take pictures because but you see that these posts are not looking so sharp anymore. We're now in August. Those are February, March photos. And you can kind of see that somebody's doing some work to the property and there's a lot of junk out there. It's still occupied. This is what it looked like a few years back. This is a picture from prior to 2020. Now, the property obviously has been fully rehabbed. A lot of work has been done to it. When whoever bought it back in 2020, they rehabbed the whole property, made it look nice, add that extra building to the back stuff. So it gives you a bit of an idea of the transition. It's a good looking property. Not the biggest of properties, but let's go through the analysis of it. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,084 square feet. Plus, I call it an ADU or office building out there. There's no bathroom out there. Doesn't look like there's any closets, but it's an additional 192 square feet of living space out there. If you want to turn an office, she shed, whatever you want to do, you can. Okay. Now, it's on just under half an acre. It was totally rehabbed back in 2020. The current buyer bought it after it was rehabbed. All right. So it's not the guy or the family that rehabbed it. They're the buyer of the rehab. Now, the current fair market value of the property, when you look online, it's somewhere in that 519,000 range. Okay. That's a little concern. Now, the great thing of where it's at in the MLK district, a lot of work going on down there, a lot of rehab, a lot of construction, a lot of new apartments are being built down this next to the woods. It's just off of Springdale Road. Basically around the 290 and I-30 interchange, basically, of Austin. but a lot of growth in this area. Now, there are some really nice properties nearby. There's also some ugly properties that people are going here and buying and rehabbing these properties up. Good morning to everybody. For those that are watching live, listening, reported. Hey, Earl, good to see you as well in there. So anyway, so 3 bedroom, 1 bath, 1,084 square foot, plus another 992 square feet of building. So it's just under, was it 1,300 square feet roughly, under half an acre. Fair market value is 519. Here's some of the rehab photos from the previous listings. It gives you a better view of the property. Of course, it's staged, but they did a really good job. At first, when I saw it, I was like, oh, is this a storage building? That's been converted. And no, it's not. It's actually the original home. It just had a total gut job done to it. A lot of white interior. And what's great about when you can see a property like this that was listed a few back or sold, and you find the online photos of the property, it gives you a whole lot more comfort when bidding on an asset versus what it used to look like back prior to 2020. There's the backyard showing not only the main house, but the additional building. Okay. Pretty nice, right? We can all agree that's a pretty good looking property. Now, to give you an idea of the note deal, the note financing, it's a 30-year, 6 1/8 interest rate on it currently. The current owners bought this whole property at $492, okay, back about 2 years ago. $492 was the purchase price. They put about $30,000 down. It's got origination of $463,000 and some change. The current unpaid principal balance is just right at $445,000, give or take a couple $100 off of that. The P&I payment is just under $22.19. It was $22.18 and like 93 cents. So I just rounded up to $22.19 for simple math purposes. The current taxes and insurance is at $14.10 a month. Okay. $22.19 plus $14.10. So you're seeing basically a $3,630 monthly payment on this thing. Okay. Don't know if there's any HOA, but that's roughly the numbers. P&I payment of $22.19 per month. Now, the lender came out and said that they'd be willing to sell this at 80% of the unpaid principal balance. That's a number of about $356,277. So we go back here and take just the UPB, the current UPB, 445 times 0.8. Now, when you have a seller that tells you kind of pricing expectations, it makes your life a whole lot easier to figure out, does this make sense? Does it not make sense? Okay. So if you just take the difference between 356,277 and 445, that's about an $89,000 gross profit to foreclose. Okay. Now that's not including your foreclosure costs. Okay. Which would be about $1,000 to $1,500. Now here's the thing: the owner of this property is only 2 months behind. They were late in June. They've missed the July and August payments, and they basically September coming in a week. Need to see if they're going to miss September in the next 30 days. But to foreclose, we need to hit that 90-day threshold, right? So if I buy the note, the transfer of the assignments and all that stuff, servicing transfer, maybe they would miss their September payment. Then they're 90 days, then you could foreclose. So if they miss the next payment, of course, the payoff balance goes up a little bit, right? The payoff balance is a little bit higher than that 445. There's not including basically about $6,000 of payments if they miss on that. So that's 451. There's about $6,000 in escrow from taxes and insurance being collected as well. So we just kind of said, okay, let's just figure that 89, but we need them to miss one more payment. Okay. Now, if the borrower reinstates, let's say the borrower next month, we buy the note and then the borrower brings the full money due to the table, the 3 months of payments. Well, that's 15 months. If you hold that note for 15 months now, 15 times 22.18, that comes to $33,285 collected in a year, because they're making up to 3 months plus the 12 months of payments. If you divide that 33,000 cash flow divided by the 356 purchase price, that's only about a 9.3% cash and cash return in year one. Okay. But after year one, it goes down from there a little bit to just 12 months, right? But that's year one. Now, of course, if they start paying on time for 12 months, could you turn around and sell that note? Yeah, you could probably turn around and sell that note at 85, 90, make another 10 to 15 grand on a note sale at that point. You can make that happen, but that's really only desirable if you're using your own money. If you've got to pay an investor, anything above 6%, 7%, you're not making any money on this deal. You're really breaking even. Big and picky. You might make a little bit more on the note sale in 12 months, but you're not really going to cash flow much stuff at all the first 12 months. It's going to be kind of hit and miss. Now, why is the lender selling this note? Because they're only 60 days roughly behind. So we'll go through it in a second. So if they don't reinstate and we do foreclose and it doesn't sell at the foreclosure auction, we now own an REO, a real estate owned. If it doesn't sell at the foreclosure auction, we now take the property back. Now we can sell it for full value. After eviction, clean it up. I would finish the fence, do some stuff like that. A little bit of rehab to it. Not much at all. It's going to be in pretty pristine condition. But if the value holds at 519, now we sell listed at, okay, let's expect to sell it at 90% after closing costs and commissions. You take that 10% closing costs, commissions. Yes, we're going to pay an agent on both sides. Okay. So at 90% of the 590 or the 519, sorry, that comes to 467. 467 minus 360. That's the cost to buy the note and a couple grand to foreclose. We're assuming it's going to be in pretty good condition. Doesn't need much work at all. So that would be about $107,000 gross profit on the deal. All right. Now that's a 29.7% return on investment by taking 107 divided by the 360. Okay. That's a pretty good day, right? That's if it takes a year. Now, if it took 6 months, which is what I would expect this thing to sell in 6 months, that's about a 59.4% cash and cash annualized return. That's pretty good, right? It does. But you have that big if. What if, what if, what if? Now, to understand the what if, you got to do a little bit deeper dive into the borrower. And luckily, I was able to find some information. So it looks like, because this is not the only property that the borrower owns. So I was thinking like, oh, they probably tried to rent this, maybe turn this into Airbnb. The house does have that black Audi or BMW in front, so maybe they are living to it, but it's not their only house. So maybe they tried to rent. Would it make sense to rent this property? And no, it wouldn't, because the rent's $2,200 a month. It'd be a very bad rental. Okay. So no, that's not a good thing. To give you a bit of an idea, you can see here, average rent, median rent's $2,200. When you map it all out, it's the orange spot on here. The blue spots are right about the same thing. The red are a little bit higher, but it's not really going to rent that much more. Plus, you got all those apartments and stuff going in around there. And it is a smaller house. All right. To try to rent it for $3 grand a month is just not going to make sense. How could the borrower file BK when you foreclose? Of course, they could file BK. They could drag this out. Now, could you buy the note and have the borrower refinance you out in a period of time? Yeah, but that's probably not going to happen because it's at a 6 and 8% mortgage rate. Rates are still at about that. If the previous lender has been reporting this to the credit bureaus, you're going to have to wait 24 months for this person to refinance out. So it just doesn't make sense a lot to try to do this and turn this into a rental. It really makes sense to buy the note, then either foreclose or try to force the borrower to try to sell the property and make some money on the split. Okay. So let's move on. Now, I did want to go back. Did I miss a slide? There was a couple slides in here. That's that. Did I forget a slide? Maybe I did not put it back. So here's the thing. I did a little bit of research on this borrower and found that they own 2 houses. This is both mailing addresses go to this property. Okay. Now, the guy that owns this has a unique name. He actually works in the cattle industry. All right. He imports cattle, sheep, livestock over to Asia. He's got a business that does that. And I found his information, found a working number. It works. I found an email address. I found the website, stuff like that. So maybe that's why he's fallen behind by 60 days. But here's the thing. Why is the lender selling the note? It turns out this is supposed to be a Fannie Mae loan, that Fannie Mae wouldn't buy the note because on the bank statements that the borrower provided, when it came down to double checking that, they didn't have that money sitting in the account anymore. They'd use it for down payment. And they wanted them to have about 6 months reserves to approve this loan. Well, guess what? The underwriters did not verify that the funds were in the account. And once they closed, the funds were not there anymore. So Fannie Mae would not buy this note. Okay. So that's why they don't have a lot of money in the account. The taxes are paid. That's the good thing. Taxes are about 60 or $7,000 a year on this thing. And power's on. Somebody's living in it. It's occupied. It's not being trashed up, because those are the photos I drove by. So what would you do? When I open it up to you guys, what would you do? Would you buy the note and take the risk? I mean, that's a lot of money to tie up right now. Would you buy the note and hope they foreclose? You're not really going to modify it. I wouldn't really modify this that much. I'd want the bar to bring all the money to the table to reinstate. I wouldn't give them an opportunity. Could they file bankruptcy? Yeah, they could file bankruptcy and drag it out for a period of time. So it's an iffy. Now I went ahead and bid 80 just to see if we could get it approved, and then dive into to lock this bid up. And sometimes you're going to bid just to lock deals up. All right. And that's what I did. Hey, if I lock this up, I'll have some time for due diligence, and maybe they'll miss the payment come September, which is in basically a week and a half. Any questions, any comments? What would you do? What are your questions when it comes to it? Now, if you're not watching this live, you're catching the replay, feel free to type your questions into the chat roll or message me. You know, you always book a call with me at talkwithscottcarson.com. That's talkwithscottcarson.com. That's my direct booking link to schedule a call with me to chat about this deal. But it's an interesting deal. Like I said, it's not there. He owns another property in the same county, in Travis County. Taxes are escrowed in, they're paid up. He has a business. He's an entrepreneur. I don't know if it's a slow time of the year for him or what, but it's interesting to see a little bit of that due diligence and research. Now, he didn't have a LinkedIn profile, but I was able to find by doing some Google searches and white pages and kind of doing as many skip trace on the borrower by checking the address. But look, it's a good piece of property, good looking piece of property. Is values going up? Has Austin gone through a bit of a price correction in the market? Yeah, we have. Do I think it's worth $519? Yeah, I think it's worth $519. I wouldn't pay $519 for basically a 1,300 square foot house, but that's where we're at in Austin, Texas, in this area town. It's interesting to see what's going on, and that's why if you get a chance, get out and try buy an asset or two, see what's going on. A lot of construction going on, a lot of development in this area, so it's an up and coming area of kind of South Austin, Texas. So potentially could be an $89,000 deal or more, but potentially could also be a 9% cash and cash return if the bar reinstates the loan or files bankruptcy, starts making payment over the next 12 months on this thing. Okay. So always encourage your questions. Always encourage you to reach out to me. If you've got a deal case study like for me to break down or go through, I'm always honored to do that for each and every one of you. Once again, this is not a bad looking property. If we go back here, it's good. It had a lot of online information for us to take a look at. It's a nice looking little property. So if you, I made my bid on Friday. I bid the 80% of UPB, and we'll see what happens this week if my offer is accepted or they counter back. I'm honestly, if they go higher than 80%, I'm not going to accept it. I would need investor funds to fund this deal. If you know anybody's looking to make an above average return on their money, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always glad to talk about it. I do have somebody who does have the money to put this in place, but I still think it's just a bit too skinny a deal for them to be at 60 days. At 90 days, we can foreclose quickly. Heck yeah. They missed that September payment. Boom, we're rocking and rolling and starting that foreclosure come October or November. So, all right, everybody. Well, hey, that's all that I've got for you today in this episode of the Note Closure Show. As always, lots of great deals out there. It's a great time to be buying non-performing notes, residential, commercial notes. We're seeing more and more increased stuff. Please check out our other socials. Make sure you follow us on our #1 YouTube channel at weclosenotes.tv, and also check out our TikTok channel as well, where I'm posting daily short videos like I am on our YouTube channel and shorts. So if you're on TikTok more on YouTube, make sure you follow me on there. But go out, take some action, everybody. Have a great week, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the top.